Today's focus is going to be on understanding the very foundational stuff. What makes a project a project? So welcome to our first module. And today we're going to start building our project planning capability. And over the coming weeks, you're going to be developing a project plan. And like we've spoken about, it's not going to be theoretical. It's going to be very real and grounded in reality. So each of you should be thinking about a business that makes sense to you. Whether you're an entrepreneur and you're thinking about starting a business, whether you're thinking about helping your family transition their family business from traditional to a digital modern business, if you're looking at working in a tech company as a project manager, whatever your interests are for your future, then you should think about a case study that you'll use to create your project plan that's based on that. So we're going to start with the really foundational things, and that is, what is a project and how do we develop a project plan systematically? This report is going to be about maybe 8 to 12 pages, but we're going to be focused on strategic thinking. So you don't need to be worried about being too wordy or having too much information. We really want to demonstrate that we can think strategically about creating a business plan for a company that makes sense to us. You have in the online resources that I provide you a link right in the sidebar to your project plan guide. It's also linked in your syllabus. And everything is there. It talks about that there's going to be 5 components that will be a part of this business plan that you create. And each one is going to be tied to work that we do here in class. And you don't have to worry because you'll never have to write about something that we haven't discussed. And also, if you look at that guide, it even tells you at a glance what you're working on for next week. So the things that we're going to work on today in class, you are going to turn those into like a rough draft of part of your project plan. And you'll bring that in, you'll print that out, and you'll bring that into next class. And it tells you what is coming up next. So everything that you need is there. And again, I want you to remember, we're not concerned with perfection. What we want is something that you've actually really thought through. And that's what these classes are designed to do, is to help you think through the strategic thinking that really has to go into creating a solid business project plan. So everything is there, and I know you have a lot to do. You have a lot of other classes, but please, even if you do like Thelma and just familiarize, just skim through. I mentioned this before, but that's like our single point of truth. If there are changes, they're going to be updated there. So refer to that, look at it, figure out at least what you're doing, what you need to be working on this week, and what you need to bring to class next week. Quality over quantity. So we want to develop the skills of a craftsperson here. So we're going to be crafting something that will go beyond just something that's generic. All right, so today's focus is, what is a project? And I want you to think about, and I want to discuss with you, what's a project and what's just work? How do we decide? What's the difference? Because every solid structure needs a solid foundation. So we need to know what it is that makes something an actual project. And then we're about to watch a video recorded by Adriana Girdler, who's an authority on project management, and she has hundreds of videos on the topic. And one of the things that she'll be talking about is how do you initiate a project? So think about that. What goes into initiating a project? Who are stakeholders and what do they do? How do you define a stakeholder? Let's start with, we're going to watch and listen to this video, and when it's done, we'll discuss it. All right, so what is a project as opposed just to regular work? And what is the role of a project manager? What's the job that, just in your own words, we don't need to be fancy, but what does Adriana do? What's the role that she fulfills?
In the project.
Right, so she's delegating work to a team. And what does she do in the beginning, in the planning stage? What's the first thing that she has to do?
Initiation settings.
Yeah, initiation. So what is initiation? Anyone else? Yes. Yeah, it's explaining the things that the team will have to do in the project. You're correct. And who do we need to get that from? Yeah, the stakeholders, of course. And who's a stakeholder? What's a simple definition of a stakeholder? A stakeholder is anyone who will participate in the execution of the project. That's really good. We could even be more broad. We can just say anyone that's touched by the project. So for example, customers are also stakeholders or external stakeholders, but they're affected by what a project is. So the initiation comes from a stakeholder, but it's a very special stakeholder. It's whoever has the authority. It's the executive. It's the person who has initiated the project, the project sponsor, let's say. It's whoever's giving you, it's giving you your marching orders. That's the term that she used. So you need to have permission to execute a project. You need to have permission from someone. And that's the initiation. It's having a set of, here's what we're going to do, and here's when it's going to be done by, and here's how we're going to do it. Where does Adriana start a project? Burgesh?
From the end.
From the end, yeah. And why is that?
I guess the end date.
Right. If you start with the end, you know the result that you are aiming for. So then you can make sure that everything else fits. A lot of times, so you get your marching orders, you do your initiation, and you see the end date. And then you realize, oh yeah, I could do all that. I know how to structure this project to get to that point. But other times you'll realize that, oh, there's no way this could happen. That's why it's so important to really know what the end result is supposed to be, when it's supposed to happen, so that you can make sure that everything leading up to that will actually work and fit. She also begins by asking what, why, and when. Why are those important when you're planning a project? Yeah. Ask exactly, why are we doing this is really important. A lot of times we just do things because we think we should, but we need to know why we're doing it. So what is it that we're trying to accomplish? Why are we doing it? And when does it need to be done by? Those are like the key questions that as you work on your own project plans, you want to think about those things. So we talk about what, why, and when. What about who? How important is who to our project plan? To start the project, yes. And also, who is important and who do we need to keep informed? Who do we need to get permission and approval from? And there's also the concept of enrollment. We don't get things done on our own. In particular, as a project manager, a manager implies that you have a team that you're working with, and different people have different personalities. So we need to be sure that we enroll people in what needs to be done, and we don't just say, okay, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going to do something else. That's why the who is so important. As you are thinking about your project and your project plan, those are really the four elements: what, why, when, and who. And like Adriana said, start with when, and then work your way back and make sure everything else flows from that. So now, I would like you to, in your notebooks and whatever you happen to have right now, but you will copy this into this one notebook that you'll turn in. I want you to put at the top of the page, well, first let me ask, do you all at least have some idea about what your case study will be about? Like maybe have you thought about a company or an industry or a type of project that you'd like to plan? Maybe not? Okay. Well, give that a little bit of thought. And at least think about this. What sort of a project plan makes sense for you and your career, your future career, your education? Is it something to do? Are you interested in working in a large tech company? Are you interested in helping your parents with a family business? Are you interested in running a restaurant or opening a restaurant? And think about a project that would take a few months, 3 to 6 months. So nothing too elaborate. And write why you need a project plan. Hopefully you have a little bit of an idea so you can write something that's very concrete. Even if you don't, then you have to write a little bit more generally. If you don't know exactly what you want to do, then maybe do it this way. Just write about a situation where that you want to accomplish something in 3 to 6 months, and that you need a project plan. Why would you need it? What would it help you do? I'd like you to take about 10 minutes and write the question at the top. So start with a blank page. Right at the top, why my case study needs a project plan. Take a minute, just sit with that, think about that. And if you have questions you want to discuss, we can do that while you're writing. If you are focused and you know what you're writing about, just block out the conversation. And if you want to ask something or talk about something, what we're trying to do is to just think creatively about when a project plan is necessary. This could be stream of consciousness. You're not writing a beautiful essay, but I want to see what's in your mind right now. So go ahead and just speak up if you have anything you want to ask or want to share something. We don't need to be totally silent while we do this. For this, in your notebooks, in your journals, this is information that will help you write your plan, but I don't want you writing your plan in the journal. So for you, think about why whatever you have in mind, why it requires a business plan, how the plan is going to help versus just doing something organically. That's a possibility too. You say, oh, well, we need to get something done in 3 months. And you go off and everyone works towards that. Why do you need a plan? In this situation, why is a plan going to help you? Okay? All right. I think this will get easier as we go along. It probably feels a little awkward the first time you do this. But like I say, it's just going to show me, especially when you copy this into the A5 notebook that you bring just for this, it'll show me how you've thought about each of the things that we are discussing. And like I say, that's important. That it's not what you think, it's not if you're right or wrong, it's that you're thinking about these topics. And that's something that is really hard to do in this day and age. Everything is just presented for us. It's so easy just to consume information, to just mindlessly scroll through social media, to ask ChatGPT for answers. So it's really important that we engage our minds and our thinking skills. Now, Adriana is going to talk about how to start a project. She's going to mention 5 key steps. So just these steps may or may not apply to your project, but just see how thinking about how you're going to organize your project into steps, see what you gain from watching this video, and we'll have a little conversation about it. What are some of those terms that she was talking about? Project scope, project charter, kickoff meeting, WBS. Tell me about some of these things. What are they? And why are they important?
And when?
Yes. So the charter is a framework that explains who does what and when. And why did she say, have everyone sign the charter? What was that about?
Yeah. I think something like that.
Yeah. It's empowerment. That's what we were talking about earlier. She doesn't just tell people what to do. She empowers them to be a part of it. Do you know how people would form a new city somewhere or a town? They'd create a town charter and everyone would sign that. And so when she says, when we talk about charters with project planning, that's what I think of. It's an agreement between a group of people. A charter isn't just something that is imposed on other people. It's a collective agreement. So that's really important as we plan a project. This is something that spoke about a lot in our change management course last semester. Managers are leaders. You are getting a leadership degree, whatever you're going to go into. Having a degree in management is a degree in leadership. And what do leaders do? you lead. And you don't lead by coercion, you lead by inspiration, by motivating people. There's a saying that a good leader lights a fire inside of you, and a bad leader lights a fire under you. So think about that. That's a lot of what we're talking about, is getting everyone on board, everyone on the same page, and everyone working towards the same goal. So as you create your project plan, it's not just saying this happens, here are the steps you're going to take to make this happen. It's about motivating people. It's about getting buy-in from people. Whatever you do should reflect that you've given that some thought. Go to a fresh page, and if this is not the book that you're going to be turning in, you're going to copy this into a new book for next week, then just write it wherever. But again, please bring a small, inexpensive A5 notebook that you're just going to use for these reflections. And write at the top of your page, how I will start my project plan. Think about the things that she talked about. Do they apply to your situation or what you're considering doing? Think about identifying stakeholders, how you'll gather information, how you'll deal with the scope. Just as important in scope that we describe what's out as much as what's in. We'll take a little bit less time, but hopefully the first writing just loosened us up a bit. So this time, take about 5 minutes and share your thoughts about how you approach starting your project plan. Yeah.
Also a word, no silo. What's the meaning of that?
Of what?
Silo.
A silo, that's a great question. Silos are where we store grain. And they're tall, cylindrical structures that are separated from each other. So in business, we talk about avoiding silos. We have groups working independently and they're not cross-communicating. Thank you, and that's beautiful. Again, this is a sort of thing that makes this class work, is that we talk about these sorts of things. So if you hear something that doesn't make sense to you, then ask, and that's beautiful. So that she's talking about no silos, right? There was a picture of 3 silos with a red line through it, that everyone needs to be on the same page. So that's a great thing to consider as you answer, how will you approach your project plan? So go ahead, take 5 minutes, just write whatever comes into your mind. No right or wrong answers. Hopefully by these questions, like I said before, they're not directly tied to what you're going to put in your project plan, but they should get you thinking about what you're going to put in your project plan. That's the goal. I just want to talk about, so what we covered today are basically how to get a project started. What's important to starting your project? The sorts of things that you want to think about. They have clear criteria about what, why, when, who, and that you work backwards from when, and that you want to have a strategic approach to what you do. So you're not just diving in, but you're giving it some thought. In the project planning guide, there are these 5 components. What you're going to be working on now and what we covered in this class is going to be part of component 1, which is defining your project and identifying your stakeholders. So for next week, you're going to write a rough draft, 1 to 2 pages, double spaced. Doesn't have to be polished, but in paragraph form about what your project, how you're defining your project, and how you're identifying your stakeholders. You bring that in, I'll work with you, I'll help you. So over these 8 modules, we'll develop your rough ideas and define polished ideas. So please don't wait till the end and try and write something at the end. you'll miss out what this course is designed to do, which is to help you work through these problems in a way that was going to help you in your future. And there's only so much we can cover. The videos will be linked below this video. You can watch them again. I really encourage it. There's some linked textbooks. You can look through the textbooks that I've linked to this course. You can use Google, you can use AI. This is only scratching the surface, but this is going to help inform this first component of your marketing plan. For next week, unless we talk during break or sometime in person, please schedule a meeting with me so we can talk about what your project plan is. After today, you should really start having a pretty solid idea about what you want to spend the time in this class preparing. What sort of a project, what sort of a business, what sort of a undertaking is your project plan going to reflect? Talk to me about it just so that I can help make sure that we'll keep you focused on what you need to create a really solid plan. Next session, which we're going to take a break now, we'll come back and do our next session. We're going to talk about scope and requirements.